last time.
Either you're of a divine bloodline, or something else. I'm afraid we're going to need to dig deep into your past, Galesse. That she was able to pass through the soul cairn without an issue. Somehow they are able to communicate through her from oblivion.
I'd mentioned a stone that I'd read about. It's called the Heartstone.
Whatever he gave you made you much stronger, but was not going to cure you.
The magic that I used was frowned upon. Seek out Arnika Theme.
What the fuck?
I still cannot figure out how this potion was made, because your soul had already left your body.
Knowledge about the Heartstone elixir.
That was my own creation. Don't tell me that fool used a partial living soul to bring life back to her. You would need to find someone who had advanced knowledge of the planes. Anyone known to be undead should have some common knowledge.
Let's head back to the castle.
Hello there one more time for this series. This episode is heavily leaning on the fact that you watched the last one, but I tried to make that intro pretty definitive. This is not going to be a very long one, I'm pretty sure. Let's see what Valerica's got to say.
Did you find the information you needed?
I guess part of Galesse's soul is in oblivion.
How is this possible?
A partial soul trap, and using her mother's soul.
I would have never thought to use that spell for that reason. We'll need to find this soul, and remove it then.
We don't even know what plane of oblivion it's on.
That should be an easy find, since we've already been there. When a soul is captured using a black soul gem, it is sent to the soul cairn. This must be the same for partial soul trapping. Upon death of the one who was soul trapped, the soul must be forced into the cairn. Most of the souls wander aimlessly, not even knowing where they are.
We could return and search for her.
It's not that simple. I would need something to connect the soul to me, to bring it out of the trance. Then, that might not even work.
All I have with me is a journal my mother used up until her death. I carry it with me everywhere.
That should get us started. Would you be able to get more things that may be relevant to your mother?
I could go speak with Delvin in the Ragged Flagon in Riften. Years back, he held on to my parents' wedding rings and gave me enough gold for them to get started here. But shouldn't we find my mother's soul first?
I'm afraid you will not be able to come with me, Galesse.
NPCs doing things, that's crazy.
If you got too close to the other part of the soul in the soul cairn, it could complicate things. If she's in there, I can find her. I still have a few tricks I can use to bring her out. You should take Galesse to Riften to retrieve those rings. Once you have them, meet me in a place called Caverns.
Been there.
The place was a marvel in its time, and is a good place for tuning into spirits. If I'm not there when you get there, wait for me.
Here is the journal.
I feel like the story kind of got off track with the Ring of Yearning, but this is good.
Thank you.
Mom told me stories about the Thieves Guild, but where is the secret entrance?
I know where. By the corner of the horse stall.
Ah, thanks. Hey, Kintyra. Didn't know you joined the Thieves Guild.
Uncle Fen, it's great to see you. Yeah, I joined most of the guilds in Skyrim.
Just like your grandma.
Here's hoping. Also, she's over there drinking with Delvin if you're looking for her.
Thanks, and good luck with the Explorers Society. That one's my favorite.
There's an Explorers Society? Oh boy, another guild.
Delvin, my mom's told me about you, but we've never actually met. Could I have a moment?
I've got nothing but time. What can I do for you? Wait a moment. It's good to see you, Galesse. Looking stunning as always.
You've always been very good to me, Delvin. But why didn't you tell me that the Thieves Guild has known my family since I was a little girl?
It's because I was never given the whole story, Galesse. All I know is your family meant something to Gallia. Shortly after she went to Valenwood to help you and your family, she disappeared. If you want the whole story, you'd have to get it from Gallia.
Are you gonna come back, Delvin?
Oh yeah, sorry about that, Des.
Over here!
Those rings that I pawned to you when I first arrived here, do you still have them? And how much gold will you need for me to get them back?
I don't want your gold. I held them for you because I know they meant something. Here, take them and go find the answers you're looking for.
When this is over, I'll give you that knight that you've always asked for.
This old guy?
I owe you that. We better get heading north to meet up with Valerica. I don't want that old bitch to run across a couple hunters if she gets bored waiting and start feeding on them. Stop.
I try not to get too lore unfriendly, but the Wampas, they're just like giant yetis, and they are classified in this world as otherworldly. If you don't know, that's my explanation for why there are some lore unfriendly things, without we're messing around with dimensions and time.
You didn't get injured, did you?
Falmer fighting Dwemer stuff. That makes a lot of sense, but I'm gonna kill them both.
Be careful.
Okay, this is where I'm supposed to meet her. See if I have to use the move to player.
Did you find it?
It took a few reveal spells, but I did. Now I need a few moments to release her mother's spirit, so you can speak with her, Galesse.
Really? Will I be able to see her?
You'll be able to speak with her through me.
How?
Let me show you.
I finally get to see my beautiful daughter one last time. I've missed you, Galesse.
Yes, I missed you too.
For the time you've given us, I thank you. Our souls have been connected since that day life was given back to you, Galesse. Your father and I knew the dark side to the decisions we've made, and we have not regretted a day of it. Your friend here has taken the time to locate your father's soul as well.
Really? That's wonderful!
She was able to link the soul of your father and I, so we will be together. With this final meeting, our souls will no longer be linked, and you will be free from the realms of oblivion.
I love you.
Well, bye.
You okay?
I feel different. Like my mind is free now.
I'm glad you found some peace.
You've stayed by my side through all of this.
I know it was hard on you. I'll never forget this, you hear? Never.
Thanks for helping, but how was my mother able to speak through you?
I was able to allow her soul to attach to me, since my body is void of a soul. In a sense, it protected the energy that made up her soul.
I'm not sure why you were willing to go through so much to help me, but know that it's appreciated.
I made wrinkles in the relationship with my daughter. Maybe it was my way of trying to mend unanswered questions for you. Or maybe it was your mother I was trying to help, to give her one last chance to speak with her daughter.
Hard Answers is pretty deep in the Thieves' whole quest line.
Well, I guess we need to find Carlia. You know who could probably find her?
Who's that? Surprised to see you again so soon. Was just leaving.
Hey, Mom. You know Carlia, right?
Sure I do. She sold my soul to Nocturnal, but those guys are gonna have a hell of a time figuring out who gets to it first.
Yeah, I read your journals. Do you still keep in touch? Could you take us to meet her?
Sure thing, sweetie. Anything for my baby boy.
Oh, come on, Mom.
All right, this is a secret sanctum for Nightingales only. You guys aren't really supposed to be in here.
So are you going to take us in?
Yeah, I'm sure Nocturnal won't mind just a peek. Wouldn't open for you all anyway. Every criminal creature and scumbag in Tamriel hides out in these caves. Watch your back. Carlia, how have you been?
I trust the night finds you well.
I brought someone to see you. Remember Galesse?
I was hoping this day would come. Thank you for bringing her to me. You've grown into a beautiful woman, Galesse. It's good to finally meet you face to face, now that you're well.
I've heard the stories of what you did to help me, and as much as it's appreciated, I would still like to know your reasoning behind it.
The short answer is truly simple. I was protecting a gift given to your father years back.
What gift are you talking about?
My mother was a gifted thief and a nightingale. As I was coming into womanhood, she began to train me with her skills. We were lifting a sword from a shop called Blade and Song in Woodhearth. On our way out, I had tripped over some steel swords leaning against the wall and woke the blacksmith from his sleep. He screamed for help from his bedroom window, and the guards were on us quickly. My mother tried sticking to the shadows, but it became difficult when she has me intel. Right before we reached the protection of the forest, an arrow lodged into my mother's leg. She reached down and snapped the arrow off so we could keep moving, and we found a place to hide as everything settled down. By morning my mother's leg was already swollen, and her wound looked angry. A sweat was breaking on my mother's forehead. She told me I needed to try and find her some help. So I ran back towards town in hopes of finding some medicine.
That sounds dangerous, considering the guards were looking for you.
They were searching for my mother, not me. But at the moment, all that mattered was trying to get my mother well. Anyway, as I moved towards the edge of town, I was grabbed by a young man, who calmed me down and asked me to lead him to my mother. He was so kind and gentle. He tried to tend to my mother's leg, but told us he needed to get some medicine. He returned within a day, not only with medicine, but other supplies to help us stay comfortable as my mother healed. He set us up a nice tent with warm bedrolls, food and water, and took the time to remove the arrowhead from my mother's leg.
This man, was he my father?
At that moment he was too young, but yes, he became your father later in his life. He was a very kind man, and did everything he could to make sure my mother and I was well. We find out later on that he was the blacksmith's apprentice from the blade and song. He knew we were the thieves that had stolen the sword, but made no judgment. He told my mother that she must have had a good reason to steal the sword, and never once did he try to take the sword back. Instead, he mended my mother's leg till we were good enough to travel again. Mother checked up on him a few times a year from the shadows, and told me to always repay the debt to him if he ever needed it. After a while she dropped off the plans to be able to smith a royal axe. It was passed down from my grandmother, Queen Baronsier.
Is this why people have mentioned that my mother was from royalty?
Yes, it is. People started spreading this rumor because the first axe your father built was shortly after he married your mother. Anyway, years later, we had 2 people from the Thieves Guild steal the location of the plans from my locked chest. I knew that they were heading to your family's house to steal them. I spoke with Galesse, and we took off in search of them. By the time we arrived at your family's home, you were found almost dead on the floor, and we sprung into action to save you. We did all we could to save you, feeling in the end that the debt was finally repaid.
Thank you. But were the plans ever recovered for the axe?
We did recover them later on, and it feels only right for you to have them. Pass them down with your family if you ever have one.
Thank you for everything.
Please, give the plans to Fenrir. He's a smith, and the only man I've ever trusted.
We'll be seeing you again soon.
Well, guess I'll go home now. For what it's worth, I'm glad you were here. I still think about those old days, from Whiterun Prison until the end of the war, and I miss them. Yeah, well, those were interesting times. Maybe someday we could be friends again.
So are you immortal or something? All that crap about soul swapping, I don't entirely get it.
No idea. Besides, I think I'd go insane if I did have to live forever. This world sucks, and don't envy your mom. Well then, maybe we have all the time in the world.
So I'm going to try making this axe and see what it looks like. Just got to figure out the name of it. That looks like it. Wow, that's a lot of damage. Better than my false replica of Umbra. And it's Dwemer, it's perfect.
This is a very nice axe. Do you want it?
Nah, my dad made me this great sword. You made it, you keep it.
Those plans were genius. I mostly got into smithing to make machinery. You know, Dwemer metal doesn't degrade because it's theorized they use tonal architecture to halt the passage of time upon it. Your father must have been very skilled at both Dwemer gear and actually working metal.
You're a fucking nerd, Fenrir.
And that's 95% of Dirtyborn, minus the parts I really can't show on YouTube and the parts that I was pretty morally opposed to. I know it took me a long time to finish this, but part of it was the mod was still in development while I was playing, and the last few chapters got added since I started. I like Galesse, and I'm likely going to make her a permanent part of my core group as an NPC like Serana is. As Destana said one time, they're similar creatures. And if you like her, she'll be joining Circuit's company in the Back in Time series. She appeared in part 13. Do you remember why Ulfric urged Fenrir to start this journey?
You're doing a great job being Jarl. Why don't you take a few days off?
It's been a while, and I'm dying to go on an adventure.
Live a little. Go sow your wild oats. Don't wait till you're old like me to make an heir.
I know it was in February, and I only made about one video a month after April, but it was to father an heir. While I do have fertility mode, because of exterior mod-related factors, I decided I would just chart a success through the whole journey by rolling dice, just like any D&D nerd. And thus I give you the Oats List. First we've got Valiana, But it has been several months since he's seen her. But we have seen her recently, and she looks completely normal. So that's definitely a no. I mean, technically Rohisa also falls under this category, but it's been 4 years since that happened. There's of course Serana, but Serana's an infertile vampire. We have Ysolda once, twice at least. Nope and nope. Sorry, Ysolda fans. Alright, we've got Carlotta, and that's another nope. We've got Irlith, which is a fine choice. And that's another nope. Honestly, I think she should get together with Balgruuf. There are theories that his missing wife is actually Delphine, but Irlith's been there the whole way through. Now the Riften girls. We've got Sapphire. No. Mule, which she's one of the ones I'm assuming he came back later. Also no. Maven Blackbriar. Although honestly, she probably would have taken care of it. But for the sake of argument, that's a no. Ingen Blackbriar. Huh, actually, that was a yes. And I bet her mom would support it because that's a way to get into the royal line. Not that heredity is the end-all be-all in Skyrim. We've got Helga. That's a no. And Uthgerd. Also a no. And who am I forgetting? Oh yes, the obvious one. Galesse. They've been traveling together for about 20 days. And he's a young man who's been very busy, also with other ladies, so I'm going to give him around 10. So here we go. 1, no. 2, no. 3, no. 4, yes. So don't need to roll anymore. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this information, but potentially Fenrir has produced 2 heirs. Potentially. So anyway, I know that was a large aside. Some of that was AA and some of that was Dirtyborn. And now all I've got to say is stay tuned for what happens with Fenrir. He's probably going to take a break for a little while, at least for me. The next thing that happens to him is Sinister 7, and then the whole family is going to go to Doreni Tower. But I'm busy with my Back in Time series right now, so I'll get to that later. Anyway, if you like this, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. It would be hard for me to believe if anybody would still be here after that long sequence of mine, but happy modding, everyone.